Okay guys, hopefully you can see this okay. I'm going to remove all this here with my razor. Now the razor I like to use is this one. It's really cheap. I think it's about £6 at Sally's, but I really like it. Now there's a couple of different ways that you can use it. A lot of people like using it with the finger at the top here. You've got a little lever that you can put your middle finger in there and they can use it that way. I like just using it straight. I feel as if I get more control over it when I use it straight. But again, it's a personal preference. There's no right or wrong way as long as you get the results. When you look at your razor, I don't have any other spare blades here. I just showed you how to change your blades, which I'll show you when we get back into college. You've got a part there, if you can look straight up, and it's the covered part. And then here you can actually see the blade. So when you're cutting, the blade side is in the hair, not the other side. So it's the blade side that goes in the hair, okay? Now the secret of doing razor cutting and doing it right is making sure you maintain really tight tension. If you don't, you will not get the results. And also with razoring, it goes through is teaching you a different way of cutting hair, because normally when you're cutting hair, you've got your guide and you cut over your guide. You always cut over your guide, you never cut under your guide. With razoring, you cut under your guide. So it's a different way of thinking. So try and don't overthink it and just go with it. But I'll show you step by step what I'm doing here. Hopefully you can see it okay. So I'm going to start at the back and I'm going to I've taken a triangle section. You know what I'm like with my triangle sections. But remember, when you're working in a bob shape, a bob, even though if somebody wants a straight bob, you still have to go at a certain angle. Because if you look at the shape of the neck here, the neck's not straight, right? So you have to go a natural curve even to create a straight bob. So I want to keep a lot of the length through the front and take most of this length through the back away. What I'm going to do is once I've razored it, I'm going to dry it. I do a lot of my cut and dry. So I'll razor it first, then I'll dry it. So you won't see the finished result. I'll just keep chopping into it. I'll show you what I'm doing as I'm going along and I'll show you when I'm drying it. So we'll start off doing the razoring and I'm going to work on this section here. I'm going to move it a wee bit forward. Hopefully you can see it okay. So when I take my section, it's really, let me see if I can see it from here. Probably be able to better see it from here. So when I'm taking my section, I'm halving my section. Can you see that? I'm halving my section here. Now, when I'm doing a bob, my angles go shorter at the middle to longer at the side. That still applies with this. So the rules are the same as in the shape. The rules are just slightly different when you're actually using it. So normally when I was doing a bob, I would be cutting here, right? So over my fingers, but I'm now going under my fingers with my bob, but I'm still maintaining my angles. But look at the tension and look what I've taken off in one go. Very quick. I love the shape it gives you in a bob. I don't think you can beat a razor for a bob. Anybody that loves a graduated bob will just love a razor. So there's one side done. So there's the side that's done with the razor and the side that's not done with the razor. Okay, so I'm just going to balance that out. So when I take this side, I'm obviously creating my angle towards the other side. Okay, again, there we go. Oh, love this. One of my favourite things to do is razor cutting a bob. I just love it. I think you get great results. I don't think you get lines the same with it, but you also, I think it's great for, see people's hair that's really fine. I know a lot of people think, oh God, razoring fine hair. For fine hair, it gives it so much volume. So there's your first guide, if you can see that there, okay? That's your first guide down. So I'm going to continue to do another line, okay? So I'm taking my section down here, and then I'll go around this other side here, and I'll take my other section down, okay? Now remember, fine sections, they don't have to be like really fine, but enough that you can see your guide, okay? So I'm now going to start again. The middle of this hair's been cut for some reason, so I'm just going to start again, doing my angles, exact same, but look how tight my fingers are. I'm pulling, I'm pulling, I'm pulling, because if I don't pull, I will not get these results. Okay, and I'm going, sorry if I keep walking in front of you here, but it is really quite awkward, so that you can see it. So if you notice, I'm following my angles down, but again, see, with razoring, it's just, you can look at it and think, do you know, oh, I could take a wee bit more out of there. So I could lift a wee bit here. If I can see the bulk, I can lift a wee bit more out. Just don't go in too deep, okay? Right, so there's 2 sections done. See if you look at the side of that, I don't know if you can see, look at the shape that that's forming already with 2 sections, right? You've got loads of volume, but you've got a nice shape, you've got no lines, okay? So I'm just going to continue to do that until we move up to the top of the ear. Never go past the top of the ear, and I'll show you why in a second when we come to it. So I'll just carry on with this and you can just watch this just now. Another thing, sorry, to tell you when you're razoring is always make sure the hair is wet. Do not try to do it when it's dry. It will pull the hair out of somebody's head. It's not comfortable at all for the client if the hair is dry, so make sure it's wet. So have a wee water spray beside you just in case you need to, just to keep that nice and wet for you to work with. Okay, so I'll continue doing these sections till we get to the top. And everything I'm doing is in a diagonal section, because remember the head is not in a straight shape, it's in an angle. Can you see okay? I'm trying to work behind so that you can see it. Okay, just always give yourself a wee check just to make sure that your 2 sides are even. Okay, so I'll continue up here and then I will show you when I've done this wee part, okay? The good thing about this is as well, it's so quick. It's really, really quick to do. And remember, level 3 is all about trying to kind of establish different ways to do things and work on the existing skills you've got. Now remember, the fundamentals of cutting still stays the same. There's only a few different ways you can cut hair. The rest is your imagination. And always remember that. So if you look at a haircut, you have to look at that haircut and think, right, where do I start? How do I start? And what shape is it going to be in? Nobody can teach you that. That's something that you can only teach yourself. It's about visually seeing a finished result on the client. So there's certain people's hair that have got like really bad hairlines, or they've got double crowns, they've maybe got kind of something, maybe a widow's peak or a cow's lick at the front. So these are things that you've got to take into consideration when you're doing a consultation. So the likes of, if I'm razoring cutting anybody's hair, if it's got a really bad hairline, then I've got to make sure I don't go in too short in that hairline, because what happens is if I go too short there, the hairline sticks straight out the head. But if I take that slightly longer and keep a bit of weight there, the weight will push that hairline flat onto the person's head. Too short sticks out, so you need a bit of weight. It's the same with the crown. You need a bit of weight to actually flatten it down. Just thinking you need something sitting on top of that to flatten it. Okay, so you need to really always, at consultation, always check hairlines, check your crown, check then about your front area. Okay, right, so here I am at the top of the ears. Look how quick that was, so quick. Right, look at that already. You can see the shape. You see it? And I'm literally just doing that with my fingers and it's just sitting any way I want it to go. Okay? So the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to join my sides in. Now a lot of times I would bring everything round to the back, okay? what I'm doing is, can you see this section here? I'm taking a diagonal section from just under the crown straight down to the front area, okay? Make sure that's nice and straight. I've got a nice clean line, it's better. Always make sure that hair is out your road. Remember, I said to you about the colouring is the same with cutting. Don't take shortcuts. If you take shortcuts, you're going to end up making an absolute mess. So try your best, take your time, there is no rush. Okay, can you see that okay? Right, so what I'm going to do here, let's go try and turn that around so you can see. I'm still bringing it slightly back here. I'm angling right down as if I was pointing right down to her shoulders because I want to maintain the length at the front. Now, if I didn't want to maintain the length at the front, I could take that to any length I wanted to take it to, but I want to keep it really quite sharp at the front. Okay, so again, I'm taking my section right down. I like taking section for section clips. I think you get a nice clean section when you take it with a section clip. So I'm angling it down and I'm pulling it round and I'm going behind my fingers. Remember that, I'm always going behind my fingers and I'm just slightly pulling that through, okay? Just going right behind, just watch your fingers. When you put a new blade in, believe me, it's sharp, so really watch your fingers, okay? So I'm going down, I'm just going to continue to work through my section here until I've got all that side cut. I just think this is fun to do as well. And it's really visual, because see if you're doing this in a salon, oh sorry, just before I talk about that, see a lot of the time, see if I think it's too thick, I can go in with the point of my razor and I can just go in and thin out any kind of sections that I want there to take some of the bulk away. These dolls' heads are quite bulky, so I like to go in and take, if you can you see what I'm doing with the point? I'm just like thinning it out a tiny wee bit, but it makes a huge difference. You know, I'm saying it's quite visual because a lot of people, it's amazing the amount of people that don't actually razor cut hair are not confident razor cutting hair. So when somebody's doing it, people always comment and say, what's that you're doing? What result does that give you? And it's another thing, it's quite visual and it's something a wee bit different you can offer your clients. Remember, everything's about offering your clients something that they can't get anywhere else or can't do themselves. One wee last section here and then I'll move on to the next one. But this is me, I'm actually taking my time here doing this to show you, but look how quickly I have just done the back and one side of this lovely lady's hair. See if there's wee bits like that I can't actually get under my fingers, I can just take them off. I can just have a wee look, take out some of the bulk. Okay, so that's one side done. So if you can have a wee look, do you see the shape? Coming right down. So it's nice and sharp here and it's coming right down. Can you see that okay? It's coming right down to a nice longer shape at the front. Okay, so once that's dried, you'll see a big difference in that. So I'm now going to move on to the next side. I'm just doing the exact same again. I'm going up my angles. Just remember, my angles are going up to my crown. Okay. I'm trying out my new light here, so I hope you can see it better. Okay, Okay, so the first thing that I do when I've done the next side is I measure it with the underneath side here to make sure it's going to be the same, which it is. Okay, section up again. Again, I like taking it with my section clip, but everybody's totally different. You don't have to take it with your section clip. You can take it with your comb if you feel that's better. I just quite like doing it with my section clips. Okay, so I'm now going behind again, but I'm angling down. You probably see it a wee bit better at this side. Look at the angles in my fingers. Just remember, I'm always aiming. I'm aiming for the collarbone here with my sections. Excuse me, I just need to turn around to make sure I'm on the same tracks here for it. Okay. Just remember to watch your fingers. And remember always when you're cutting hair, never put your comb down. I see that loads when I'm going around about a classroom. They'll take a section, then they'll put their comb down and put it back up. Always make sure that your comb is in your hands. Okay, at all times. Right. Let me see you, Sally. You've had the works this week, haven't you? I always like to, as well, is bring down, see the middle part here? I always like to bring that middle part down and just to see if there's any little bit here that's not going to blend in. And it always gives you a good idea as if you need to take anything off. Sometimes there's sides that's a wee bit thicker than others, and that's just, everybody's hair's got a wee side that's thicker than the other. So sometimes you need to take more off of one side than you do the other side. Okay, right, there she is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this video just for a minute to get my hairdryer and everything set up, and then I'm going to dry it, and then once I've dried it I'll do much more cutting with my scissors, okay, to chop in and remove any more bulk that I want. I might actually just do a wee side fringe on her. So what I'll do is I'll dry her first, and then if you want a wee side fringe, I could do a wee side fringe on her. Let me see. Let me have a wee look. I think I maybe will do a side fringe on her. I know a lot of you would want to see fringes done, so maybe if it will sit better this side. Let me have a wee look. Right, I'll do a wee side fringe for you. Right, can you see? I mean, this would be lovely. Normally I would probably do a side fringe on this because I think it'll sit lovely, just obviously as a bob. But I know a lot of you want to see fringes, so when I do fringes, I'll always do eyebrow to eyebrow. I know I've told you that a few times. I'll always do eyebrow to eyebrow because I find that gives you a nicer shape around the front of the face. Now, we're going to do a side fringe here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoop out from the nose around, like around the jaw area, okay? So the bulk will be off here, but I still want some of that length left there. So when I do it, I'm actually just going to take a wee tiny bit, so eyebrow to eyebrow, okay? Just a wee tiny bit. And I'm going to pin this out my road because I'm not working with it. Oops, not working with this here. Okay, so pin that out my road. So I'm going to be working in this side. So when I'm working in this side, again, triangle section, eyebrow to eyebrow. Okay, so I'm not going past that eyebrow. I'll show you this section just in a minute when I get it away. Okay, so if you have a look here, look at my section, it's off centre and it's a triangle, but the bulk of the hair is at this side. If you look there, that side, it's got not as much hair there, because I don't want that. I want the bulk off of here. Okay, so somebody had asked me to do this with a razor, so I'll do it with the razor, and then I can do other fringes with scissors as well, right? So what I'm going to do here is, hopefully you can see it okay. When I want a fringe to go to my left hand side here, I cut it from my right hand side here. The reason being is, if I bring it over here, can you see okay? Bring it over here, when I cut my fringe, my shorter side is where I want it to be, going into my longer side over here. Now if I try to do that at the other side here, there is no way I could do that. I could not get the shape. So what I'll do is, remember, I'm going to the left hand side, so I'm cutting from the right, so I'm taking a diagonal section. Diagonal sections for everything, guys. You don't get any lines, you don't get anything in diagonal sections. So depending on where I want this to go, I could start, if I wanted it at her nose, I could start at her nose. I think I'll just do from her jaw here. Okay, so I'm now starting at her jaw, but look where my fingers are. My fingers are pointing down, everything's pointing down to her collarbone. Always remember that when you're doing it, point it to the collarbone. Okay, so I'm angling my fingers down, my razor's going behind it, and just watch what happens. See the shape? Starting to go down, okay? Next section, straight down. So straight down and across. Okay, and I'm going behind it. Okay. You see the difference here with the shape starting to go now? And now my last section. It's important to really section this so that you don't take too much. And see when you get to the last section here, don't bring it right across like that, because you're going to take it away. Comb it down and comb it round, okay? So I'm going further away. Okay. Let me have a wee look. It's fine, I'll just take a wee tiny bit more off. Okay, so I'm going to let go of my side just now, and I'm going to bring it round just to make sure it's blended in. Okay, so I'm going to bring it, this part here, just to join it in slightly, so it's literally a millimetre, but it makes a huge difference when you're doing it. Okay, and I do the exact same at the other side as well. I take that and I pull it right away round, and I grab a bit of my guideline for the front. I always do this, and I pull it round and I literally just scrape off the edges of that haircut just to make it softer around the front. Because if you're doing a side fringe there and you've got a straight line there, it does not look nice. It looks so much better. So see if you look now, she's now got a side fringe here, that side, okay? And this part here is totally joined in. Do you see that? Can you see it? Okay. Again, see when it's dry, I'll take more off of that. So I'm going to stop this video now, and then I'm going to plug my hairdryer in. I'm going to move all this hair, and then I'll come back and dry it. Back in a minute.